Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, and we are joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey, everybody. So glad you're here today.
We're thrilled to have you here. And today our subject is campaigns, what they are in AttractWell, because, messaging is a different function. It's named differently across different platforms. So if you've ever used an automatic list mailer, an Aweber, a MailChimp, a Flowdesk, or something like that, then some of this is going to be familiar to you. But if you're using the AttractWell platform, it is important for you to know what it does in our system. And of course, how you can use it for these different and important purposes in your business. So I do have some slides that we're going to go through today. But as you're coming in, let us know where in the world you are and what you do. We're always thrilled to meet folks in our community. I see a bunch of new faces here today. So yeah, excited to learn more about you guys and what you're up to. Thanks for being here. So what we're going to do is actually turn off our videos and get into some slides I've got prepared for you. Please keep the chat going. I'm going to keep that open over here as well as our Q&A as I'm going through some slides. And then once we're done with the slides, we will actually go over into the AttractWell system and walk through how to actually set up and use your campaigns in AttractWell. So welcome again. See Vegas, DC area. We've got Central Illinois, Fargo, North Dakota. I'm in New York City. We're excited that you're here today, you guys. Keep that chat going. So today we're going to be talking about how to automate communications using campaigns in AttractWell. So what we're going to talk about, that's not the right one. Anyway, we're going to talk about campaigns today. Forgot to change that slide. So first, before we get into this, tell us about your business. What do you do? We have, I see Karen is a wellness coach and a yoga instructor. We have businesses that run the full gamut here, from solopreneurs to group practices. We've got life coaches, we've got consultants, we have chiropractors, we have therapists, we have course creators who talk about home improvement all the way through to running a solo practice. We've got really, really interesting stuff that's always happening in this space. We've got a virtual assistant business. We have several of those. Welcome from India. What time is it there for you, Chandni? We've got digital consulting. Fantastic. Thank you guys for sharing. And we're, again, really thrilled to have you here with us today. If during our call you would like to get anything clarified, if you have questions about anything that you see, or if you're here today with specific questions that may not even pertain to our topic, you're welcome to share them. Please head over to the Q&A here on the live call, and we'll work with you throughout the call or at the close of the call based on what kind of help or guidance you're looking for. And if you want to work together live and you want to schedule a time where we can actually have dedicated space on a call like this, you can go to attractwell.com/work review. We can look at your work. We could set a plan in place for you to start using AttractWell to its greatest potential for your business. We can look at your sales pages, your funnels, any number of different things. Sky's the limit here. Go to attractwell.com/work review, and we can get things done together on a call just like this one. And if you'd like to, if you're watching this as a replay in the future on YouTube, if you want to be on one of these live calls, we're here every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time at attractwell.com/office hours. So today we're getting into campaigns. We're doing a masterclass on campaigns. So we'll talk about what they are, when you use them, best practices for them, and how to create and customize them. We'll actually get into AttractWell and demonstrate how to actually set these up and run them. So first, for those of us who might want a refresher, or if you want to kind of know what it is in our system, a campaign in AttractWell is a pre-written sequence of messages, email or text, designed to send out automatically at set intervals over a set period of time, right? Something that happens automatically at intervals. Excuse me. And it can be sent, as I just mentioned, as email, text, or both. You can do a combination of these inside of a single campaign in AttractWell, which is pretty cool. Campaigns usually aren't applied manually, but they can be. But they're usually applied in our system automatically based on something like a contact's action, like they opted in on a landing page. Maybe they clicked a link in an email and an automation triggered the application of a campaign. Maybe they purchase something and they are getting their onboarding sequence, their post-purchase confirmation or something like that via email or text applied automatically. Another way that campaigns can be applied is based on a calendar date. If you have a campaign that's applied to a set of contacts or a contact, you can have that campaign trigger based on a date on the calendar. We'll talk about use cases for this. It's a pretty cool feature. And then these are fundamentally different from use cases where maybe you're syndicating a new blog post out to your list, or you are reaching out to a lead in your pipeline, or you're reaching out to a group of people you may have met at an in-person event, something like that. It's a different use case. A campaign is usually something that is strategically applied and leveraged for multiple uses and purposes. Let's get into this a little bit more. So we've got one-to-one communication, right? So you can send a broadcast message one-to-one, and that's going to be manual or scheduled, right? You can literally go in and pick a contact in your AttractWell system, click the little mail button, and you can either send something right now or schedule it for later. And this is great for following up with leads, right? Or for following up with clients, for check-ins with leads or clients, anything that really requires highly personalized messaging, right? And then we have one-to-many, right? Which is also a broadcast. That can be manual or scheduled. What you're going to do is filter your contact list for the people that you want to reach out to. And then under bulk contact actions, you're going to select mail. And then, of course, email now or schedule that email or text to go out later. This is something that you would use for your content syndication. So if you just wrote a new blog post, you're going to schedule or send a broadcast to a segment of your list, right? That's going to tell them about the new blog post and so on, or to go to your Facebook group and engage with a post or whatever that might be. This is something that you would want to use for your list for maybe one-time announcements. And of course, it's for a mass audience because this is one-to-many. Now, campaigns, on the other hand, are fully automated. Whereas, you've got manual or scheduled broadcast. You've got to go in and write it and tell it when to send. Campaigns will send automatically, right? It's fully automated. You can use this for purposes like client onboarding. So maybe after they make a purchase on a page, they buy a session or a series of sessions from you. Maybe they purchase a program. They can then maybe start to receive a series of emails that tells them what to do next, right? This is also your new lead nurture. So if somebody opts into a funnel, they're going to receive a series of drip messages that are pushing that ready person toward a point of conversion in your funnel, such as a sales page or maybe a one-on-one, like a strategy call with you. And of course, you get to use this for post-purchase messages, really and this isn't an exhaustive list by any means, just a couple of examples, right? And campaigns are really appropriate for evergreen uses. So if you have things that you say often, or that you repeat to multiple people at different times, campaigns are a fabulous way to save yourself a ton of time, right? So again, just to recap, we've got broadcast, email or text, one-to-one, broadcast, email or text, one-to-many, and then of course we're comparing these to campaigns, which is email or text sent either to one person, really to a single person, at whatever point in time it's triggered. And that means that many people can be on a campaign at different times, right? You could have some contacts on day 1 and other contacts on day 207 and another on day 14, and they're receiving that sequence in order as designed. So let's talk about when to use a campaign. Really great way you can use this, and you should be using this if you don't have a lead generating funnel on your website. The most important part of that lead generating funnel is the campaign, right? If we've written a series of emails that introduces someone to you or to an idea that you have to share that might lead them to making a purchase or taking a next step in your pipeline, that's what a campaign is really going to do. It's going to meet someone with the information that's relevant to them when they need it. And so this is great for lead nurture. It's also really good for education. If educating clients or customers is an important piece of what you do, it's really great to be able to break up a bigger, heavier concept into smaller bite-sized pieces. People tend to appreciate that. We live very busy, distracted lives. Great use case for a campaign as well would be a confirmation or an onboarding link after a purchase, or an onboarding message after a purchase is made. Campaigns are also fabulous for calendar-based events, right? If you have a launch that's taking place and you want to start sending the sales emails when you open the cart on the 27th of October, you can do that. And the sales sequence will start sending at that point, right, to the people to whom the campaign is applied. I love using this for live launches of courses as well, where I'm going to have a series of live calls. And for the people who have opted in, they're automatically going to get a reminder email before we go live. They're going to get maybe they'll have a link to join in that email, maybe the day before. Hey, don't forget we have a call tomorrow at X time. And you could set this up ahead of time and use it over and over again. And you don't have to go through and schedule a broadcast for every single instance. You need to send an email to a group of people or a reminder or whatever. So this is a really cool thing that we'll get into today. And again, breaking up bigger topics into smaller pieces is a great use of a campaign. And then ultimately, when it's time to sell something that you offer to your leads, campaigns are fabulous for selling. You should be using campaigns for selling. If your funnel is set up to take a lead from curious, and maybe they downloaded a free thing that you have, and you're trying to move them toward making a purchase of something, this is what your campaign is really designed to do, right? You're engaging them in different ways. You're showing up in their inbox at a set interval over a period of time so that that person might open those emails, read what you have to say, and take action on them, right? And then, of course, generally speaking, for campaigns, anytime you're going to share the same information with different people on an ongoing basis, and you don't need to be there to do it. It's not personalized information. It's more general and specific. It could go out to anyone. That's going to be a great use for a campaign. So let's talk about how campaigns are applied to your contacts in your list in AttractWell. First, we can apply campaigns manually. And so what we do with this is on a contacts card. So if maybe you've just gotten a new client or somebody who was a lead in your system, who's in your contact manager, they said yes, they made their purchase. You could go in to that contact, search for them in AttractWell, scroll down to where campaigns are, click add, and then add the appropriate onboarding campaign, for instance. You could do that. You could also do this in bulk. If, say, you have a live launch sequence, like an open cart sales sequence for a course that you've released, and you want to drip this series of emails on a certain set of people who've maybe opted in for a free thing on your website. You can actually filter for those people, the appropriate contacts, go to your bulk actions, and then apply that campaign to that group of contacts. More commonly, your campaigns are going to be attached to automation or automated instances, though. So what might happen is they opt in on a page or a landing page, or they sign up for access to a vault, free or paid. A campaign is attached to that page, landing page, or vault that's going to send to that contact when they put in their name and email or whatever information, and then click the button to move ahead, right? That campaign will trigger at that point. So this is going to work for when people become your leads or when they purchase from you. And then we have a feature in AttractWell called automations. Now, automations really are a powerful tool that allow you to be highly customized in how you are getting information to people, how your people are sorted. And it allows for you to utilize what's called conditional response in your marketing. So if they do this, then this happens. Then this could be the application of a campaign, right? So maybe if you send an email to them that has a link to an automation that applies a campaign, basically you're sending an email that says, hey, I actually have some information that might help you make an informed decision on this thing that you want to do. Would you like to get that information? And instead of them hitting reply and saying yes, and then you having to go and manually apply the campaign, you can have an automation that applies the campaign, and you simply put a button in that email or a link in that email and say, click here. And when they click it, that campaign would be applied automatically. Another way campaigns can be applied to contacts is if you text in to receive it. So you do have the option when you create a campaign to create a text in code if this is a text-enabled campaign. And what happens then is you'll take your AttractWell phone number and you'll say, text whatever that code is to this number, and then they'll start receiving that campaign as a series of texts. Now let's talk about best practices for campaigns. The first thing that you really want to make sure that you do before you do anything is to create an outline in a word processor. Please do this first. Know exactly what all you're breaking down, because a campaign is a series of messages and you want to really have those spelled out. Don't try to learn technology and use your creative copywriting brain at the same time. If you do that and you're comfortable with that, you're a Superman or a woman or someone, or maybe you've used our system for 5 or 6 years, right? For most of us, this is just not how this works. So create a word processor file and just write it out. Outline point 1, day 0. That's like immediate email that goes out. What do I want to say? Next day or 2 days later, what do I want to say? Write the subject line, write the body of the email. And then once you have that, you can actually go in, and I'll show you how you can do this. You can copy and paste your plain text into your campaign message editor, right? And then, of course, you want to use your own speaking voice. Please make sure in your writing that you sound like you when you're speaking, and don't think that you're writing to your your English 101 professor in college, unless of course your audience is a bunch of English 101 professors. Typically, if you aren't writing in the academic space and to academics, it's going to be more important for your copy to read like it sounds when you speak it than it is for it to be grammatically correct. It actually works in your favor, interestingly enough, as a personal brand. And of course, if you are not a personal brand and you have a different sort of business brand, this might not apply to you the same way. Just know your audience. But if your audience would expect a more casual interaction with you, then speak that way in your writing. And then when you're writing, try to avoid language like you all or you guys or group, like writing like you're writing to a group of people. Please make sure you're writing like you're writing to one person, because sometimes they're actually not going to know that this is a series of emails that are being sent off on your behalf that you wrote a year ago, right? They don't know the difference, and that's okay. They can always respond to that email, and you can respond to them personally. So make sure that we really are making this feel personal by writing like you are just writing to one person. And then we do have customization or personalization tags so that we can say, hey, so-and-so, like their first name. That would show up in here as well. And there's additional tags and things like this that I'll show you guys here in just a bit. Also, get to the point. Nobody likes fluff or hype, really. And fluff and hype, specifically hype, will get you sent to the trash bin or the spam box. So you definitely don't want to land there. But ask yourself before you maybe move from that word processor over to your AttractWell system to set up and finalize this campaign. Would I read this? If I received this, would I want to keep reading? Would I want to act on what's here? And you could maybe even send it off if you're really just getting into this for the first time. Consider maybe sending this off for feedback to someone who you feel really represents your ideal audience. And then frequency is preferable to length of message. It's better for you to send more short messages than for you to send novels. Remember, people are incredibly distracted and feel very busy and stressed, and a lot of text looks like and feels like a lot of work. Better for your name to show up in their inbox more frequently and on an ongoing and consistent basis, so that they are able to come to know your name, expect to see you, and then of course, open up more to whatever it is that you have to say. And finally, please make sure, and there is one very mild exception here, although I don't recommend it, where you're doing a date-based campaign. Please avoid date-centric or seasonal language unless that campaign is intended for one-time use. And I really would encourage you, if you're making a campaign, if you're going through this trouble, make it for something that you're going to use over and over and over again. You don't want to have 3,000 campaigns in your AttractWell system that you're never going to use again because they were just for that 1 month, right? That's a case for a broadcast, right? To send out a broadcast. What you want to do with campaigns is really allow yourself to work into a position where you've got leverage and you've got an evergreen resource that'll function for a very specific purpose in your business or practice. So now we're going to get into how to create and customize your campaigns and get into our life help coaching and whatever you guys need from us, please make sure that you are putting questions into the Q&A box so they don't get missed. I'm going to go over to a dummy account here in AttractWell, and we are going to walk through how to get this done, how to set up and modify our campaigns. All right, so here we are in the AttractWell dashboard. A couple of ways you can find campaigns. You can literally click campaigns. It's right here. And the other option, of course, would be to go right here and type in campaigns. If you have a campaign that you want to edit, you could actually type in its name and you could find it up here as well. So let's go to campaigns and go to create. Now, a couple of things I want to draw your attention to. This first field here where it says campaign name, this is for your internal purposes. Name this what you are thinking of it being, its purpose, what it does, so that you can recall what it is and apply it logically where it needs to go. This is really for your organizational purposes. So let's just say I'm going to call this new client onboarding, right? So this is my new client onboarding sequence. Now, campaign name shown to contact, this is what shows up if somebody wants to click the link at the bottom of your emails to manage their subscriptions from you, right? Maybe they're on several campaigns from you. Maybe you put them onto a sales campaign and they're just not really feeling it and don't want to buy right now. They need to be able to know what that is so that they can opt out of that specific thing, because if they don't, they may just opt out of you entirely, which is not what we want, right? So in this case, we're going to say, welcome to, and we'll say the program name is Your Best Life. I don't know. So welcome to Your Best Life. Now, we do have a choice here of using email only, text only, a preference of email or text, that's your preference. And then, of course, you can use email and or text, which is the contact's preference. There's not really a right or wrong answer here. It really depends on how you want this stuff to be received. But you have multiple options. If you aren't using text at all, then of course, like if you don't collect phone numbers, then by all means, just set it up as email only, right? But I'm actually going to use both because I want to show you how you can actually use both of these inside of the same campaign. So maybe the text and keyword for this is going to be start. And it's not what do you call it? Case sensitive. It's the word I'm looking for. If you want to have somebody, send, if we want to send an additional campaign, you have other options here. If you want to give a unique opt-out keyword for this specific campaign, right? Stop is a keyword that people can text and it stops everything from you. But if they want to stop this specific campaign, then we could say stop start, right? Or if this is a campaign that's about new program, you're never going to call it new program, but we'll say stop new program or something like that, right? Anyway, so I'm going to call this start, and you can use text in for a vault. We're not going to do that today. Just a quick note, you can attach automations almost anywhere you want to in our system. And when someone starts to receive a campaign, you can trigger automations here as well. So if you want to add a tag, a follow-up plan, or whatever, that's something that could happen as well. Anyway, so let's create our campaign. Remembering that our purpose here is for new client onboarding. So the first thing we're going to do is click Write New Message. And this is going to be the first one that we send. So this is going to be welcome to your best life. And then we can put their name, right? And so this is going to show up if you send to one or many, it's going to show their name as it is in your system. And then we could put, here's what's next. We can put images in here, really whatever you like. If you want to, pop an image, you can do that. I would, and we're not getting too heavy into email marketing here today. We're really just talking about the campaign feature, but a quick note, the fewer texts, the fewer images you have in an email, the more likely it's going to land where you want it to, and it's going to get read, right? It is nice for things to be pretty, but if it doesn't look like an email that you would send to a friend or a colleague, there is an exponentially higher chance you're going to land in the promotions or the spam folder. And we want to land in the inbox, right? So keep it simple, keep it straightforward, say what you need to say. Quick note, when these messages send, this can send via text. And basically it's going to have some of this info and it's going to cut off and say, read this message in your browser, and they can click a link and it'll open this email on a page on your site, your domain, and they'll be able to read it there. If you want this to just be text only, you can put the text here in the subject line, or of course you can add that text down here. If you do want to send images via text, you can add those images here. So technically your messages can be created as a sort of multi-purpose thing, right? I'm going to create one more option. So this is going to be, or we'll do a couple more emails. So here's day one, again, just for the sake of showing you guys in the editor itself. All right, so welcome to your best life. Day 0 is going to be immediate, okay? And subsequent days, it's going to be, that many days since this campaign was either added manually or triggered via an opt-in, an automation, and so on, right? Now, let's look at some advanced settings here, because this is where this gets really, really cool. So let's just say, for instance, you have a funnel. And in your funnel, this is especially valuable if you're using the Client Funnel Challenge course that we have. If your funnel has an authority page that basically says, after they opt in to get a free thing, hey, that thing's on the way to you. It'll be there in about 5 minutes. But real quick, if you opted into that, if you said yes to this, chances are here's the bigger thing that we need to be talking about, right? If you have something like that in place, you can actually delay this first email. Let's say this was a new lead nurture campaign. You can delay this 5 minutes and tell them to watch the video on that page, right? Now, here's a really cool thing. On your subsequent days, and here, let me actually just make a copy of this guy. And you can literally just make copies of your messages if you want to use a template, for instance. You can select a specific time of day. Now, our system does send by default at 5 p.m. Central US time. So you will want to use a time zone converter and just find out, like in your time zone, if you do have it like a specific time of day you want to send, you can go in and you can pop that in right here, which is super cool. You can trigger automations off of these individual emails. And then, of course, for these emails, you can choose that maybe this one is sent by email only. But maybe this next one that I'm going to send at, at 9 a.m. this is always going to be a text, right? That's something that you can do. I'm going to set this one to send up on day 2. And this one for day 3. And of course, if you're copying like these, you do want to actually go in and click them and change the information inside of them, so you aren't sending actual duplicate messages to your people, right? Good question, Tanya. The difference between text preferred and text only is that if you choose an only option, if they have opted out of or have not opted into text or email, either way, they're not going to receive it. So if somebody never gave you a phone number, they're not ever going to get this message. Now, if somebody opted out of email, but they didn't opt out of text, if we're using email preferred, then we'd like to reach them via email, but if we got to reach them via text, that's what we'll do. So that's what that looks like. So let's just say, for instance, and I'll give you an example. Let me go over, we have a white label of the AttractWell platform that I don't want to be right in the middle of it. I want to show you a campaign that I'm using for a program. And let me find that live launch, and then I'll show you guys. Here we go. Live coaching is what it's called. So I have a course that I've live launched here, and I'll actually show you what that looks like, and show you a use case for this. So this is email marketing mastery that I'm doing on this other platform. It's inside of a specific vertical. It's the same software as AttractWell. But what you see when you come in here, and if I go to the start here page for this program, if they want email reminders for the live coaching calls, this is an automation that's going to apply this campaign. Now there's 7 messages in this campaign. And because I launched this program in like the first couple weeks of September, it triggered on a specific date. Our first live coaching call was scheduled for the 14th. When people received this campaign, so when they were opted into this campaign, they got this message right away. And I just have these set up to send by default in terms of, text or email, like it's either or. And the default is actually what you set up here in edit campaign details, email and or text. So either way, this is going to reach them. So what I've done here, this is a date-based campaign because this is like I'm telling them today, tomorrow, and so on, because, and for instance, I have a call in an hour here. Our final call is going to be today. So it's time for live coaching. You're getting this email, click here to join. That's our Zoom link. And then there's even a couple hours later, an email that says, hey, your recording is up, which will be put over, let me find that, if it'll let me, down here on our coaching calls page. All right, so all this information is going to be sent out to them. So once that's ready, it's actually going to send out, because I know that it's enough time for me to get that done. So let me go into advanced settings and you can see how I set this up. So this email was sent right away that says, hey, you're enrolled, here's what to expect, and so on. And then day 1, because I set the start date to the 13th, day 1 is the 14th. So the 14th of this month, they got a reminder at 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern, right? That is, hey, just a quick reminder, we've got a call tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. And then the next day, and this is an hour before we go live, hey, it's time for live coaching, here's our link. And then a few hours later, our recording is up. And basically what I did was I created this message and then this one, and this one, and I duplicated them because it's the same. It's the same message. Everybody's getting the same message each time. And now I don't have to think about it. This is the second course that I've launched in a month with the exact same strategy. And all I did was go in and change the name, because the first one was the Brand My Business Workshop. And so that was a different image, right? And I changed the name here and I changed these links in those 3 emails, and then I replicated the rest of them. And now I have a full live send, live launch option here. Now, a use case where it might be helpful to send a text as opposed to an email might be this 5 o'clock Eastern time, the day before our call, just a quick text, or maybe a 9 a.m. message the morning of that we would send via text only or text preferred, where we'd say, hey, quick reminder, we've got a call today. Make sure you head over to here and do your homework or whatever, right? So that's what that sort of use case would look like. So yeah, that's what, if you wanted to see like a live launch, like a date specific campaign, that's, I think, one of the best examples that I could show you. But for something that's like onboarding or lead nurture, the sequence is going to be the same for any period of time, right? And you're just going to want to make sure that you've got, I usually just stick to default, whatever I have it set up as. But if you choose, if you really want to, maybe you're running a challenge, right? And you're going to send just a quick text reminder at 9 a.m. at Eastern time or something like that every day for 14 days. Then, the email that you send at the beginning, this is going to need to be email, right? Because we got to set the expectations. We got to talk about all this stuff. We got to give them credentials, yada, yada. And then you say, look out for a text from me every day this week, blah, 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 right? And let's just say there are some days where you're texting in the morning, but maybe you need to email in the afternoon. You can do that in the same campaign by just simply selecting this one is going to be text only. And then maybe this one is going to send at 5 p.m. Or sorry, 5 p.m. There we go. And we'll make this email only or email preferred, right? So this would be text preferred. this would be email preferred. One note, if you're using preference versus only, do make sure that the content of the message itself would make sense and be received well and understood by text or email, right? If it is something that really is designed to send like a text message, make sure you set it as text only. If it's super long, you can send it via text. It's just going to send them to a page that they have to open up, which is fine. But that might be ideally sent via email. So just be clear on what you want it to do, and then you'll be able to do that, right? So, excuse me, there's a lot of ways that we can customize this and really make it work for you. So let's look at some questions here and see if we want to maybe demonstrate any use cases. Let me see. Okay, so we've got that preferred and text only. All right, Tanya said, so the opt-in was for text reminders, but the send format is both. So that's really, that's going to depend on how you design your campaign, Tanya. If you're going to have a campaign that the expectation for the lead or the client is that I'm sending you text reminders, then it should just be text reminders. But if they've signed up for a program or a challenge, for instance, where you're going to get text reminders at 9 in the morning, and then we're going to send you a digest email at 5 p.m. or something like that, then you can have both of those inside of the same campaign. You can really, I mean, it's to your heart's content here. You can set this up however you want to. I would just make sure that you are being really clear with your leads at the outset. If it's preference, the software will send the other way if I don't have a contact for the preferred method. Yeah. If you set it as preference, and let's just say, for instance, for whatever reason, maybe you forgot to make text a required field on an intake form, and so you don't have this person's phone number. If you use text preferred and you don't have a number for them in your system, it'll send that message via email instead, if you choose preferred, right? And so, yeah, I mean, if you're using only, then it's only going to send if that person has opted in for either, or has not opted out, I think is more appropriate, right? If they haven't opted out. So if somebody opted out of email and you say email preferred, but you've got their text, they're going to get that campaign. It's just going to be sent to their phone. Okay. Is there a way to set up an automated email reminder to an individual for an upcoming one-on-one session? So Mark, there's an interesting workaround for this. The way that I teach this and the way that I personally like to use this, here, let me actually, I'm going to show you. And again, this is, I use our system. It's just on our white label platform inside of a very specific vertical. So this is my account on that side, and I have a funnel. So this is strategy call landing page. So when people sign up for a one-on-one session with me here, they're going to go to this page, and this is a strategy call. So this isn't a client. They're going to fill out their information. All of this is required. They got to do all of this stuff, right? And then they're going to get sent to a confirmation page on the other side of this page. So it's actually, let's look at that. I'll show you how we have it set up. So under leads, they're going to get this campaign, this Get Growing Game Plan call, and they're being sent to this strategy call application confirmation, this page. And so let's look at the campaign. The campaign is actually going to say, hey, let's book our call. And then head over here now to book a call. And this is just literally going to go to a page in AttractWell where in Calendly, they're able to, this, is a page that's like on the site. In Calendly, they're able to go in, pick a time, and then they'll put in their information. And I have it set up, I have paid Calendly. So I'm able to customize those reminders that are sent from there. You can do that in free Calendly as well. If you want to use like their free version, if you just don't brand it for the call and just say 30 minutes with Mark, right? Or something like that. And you can go into Calendly and modify sort of what that looks like. But because it's not a true integration with our system, you're not going to, where is that? Oh, here we go. It's down here. because it's not a true integration with our system's not going to know when to send the reminder because it doesn't know when it actually booked. It's just, the form is hosted, like embedded rather, the form is embedded on a page on your AttractWell system. But what I would do is use whatever your scheduler is and send out an invitation after the fact. And if you have paid Calendly, then you can make your confirmation page one that is in your AttractWell system as well, where we say, hey, we're good to go. You should see your confirmation email, calendar notification. If you don't see it in the next few minutes, click here and we'll get it worked out. So that's one option. Now, there's another option as well that that I can share with you that is really more like if you're having one-on-ones with your clients and you either get a notification that they are signed up with you for a specific date and time, or you're with them and you know when that was set up. What I would do is actually create a saved reply. And actually, let me back up real quick, because if you're going to be meeting via Zoom, for instance, and you're using Zoom and AttractWell, you just come down here and you create yourself a recurring meeting link. Right, so I'm going to create this one, and this is going to be client calls. It's recurring. I don't want to automatically start video for anybody. And then we're going to enable the waiting room and create. Perfect. Once this is done, this is the link that you're going to share with whoever you're going to have this kind of meeting with. We're going to copy the link, and then we're going to go to saved replies, because this isn't going to be an automated like campaign function, because there's no way for the campaign to know what date they picked on the calendar, because the calendar is just embedded on your AttractWell site. It's not integrated with AttractWell features. So we'll create a saved reply, which is just a canned response. And so this will be reminder email for client calls. And so this will be looking forward to speaking on date. And so we'll say, hey, so-and-so, looking forward to our call, time, date. Here's the link to join at that time. See you then, right? And then here's the link. We'll actually just pop in our Zoom link that we just created. And now we have a saved reply. And let's just say, I got a calendar notification, so-and-so booked with me for next Tuesday. So I'm going to go find that so-and-so in my contacts. And let's just pretend it's Rupert here. I'm going to click on Rupert and I'm going to hit mail. And then I'm going to go find that in my saved reply, reminder email for new clients. And so what was that, next Thursday? So we'll say next Thursday, the 6th at noon. And so we'll say next Thursday. And so time 12 p.m. Eastern, date. All right, so we can send that right now, or if it's 2 a.m., and you're doing your work, because this is when you can work, you schedule it, right? You schedule that email, and then of course, if you wanted to, maybe you create a different saved reply, reminder, our call tomorrow, and then what you do is you just schedule that for the day before, right? And then you send it, right? And so now it's scheduled for delivery, and you can always go back and see. So that's going to be a use case where a campaign is not the most effective tool to use, but a scheduled email would be the right one. Good questions. Anybody else? Bring them. Try to think of some other, Greg, is there anything that comes to mind for you in terms of like use cases that would be worth kind of sharing or showing, or anything interesting that you've seen come through that we could talk about in campaigns?
One possibility, and maybe you touched on this while I was answering some questions, but there's the unsubscribing from just the one campaign using automations. Have you covered that at all? I know that's come up a lot, like how can someone unsubscribe just from that mailing without being removed from the overall general mailing list?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So basically, what you can do, you do have, there's a footer at the bottom of all of your emails. It is already pre-written to be compliant with CAN spam compliance in the United States. You, of course, if you want to make changes to it, it's under advanced settings here. Just make sure that this is compliant to your local rules and regulations in your country. So you can actually go through and change the information that's there. It's completely up to you. But what happens is when they click the link that's down in the footer to manage their subscriptions, they're going to go to a page that shows them actually which campaigns they're on and how to opt out of them. And so what I recommend doing, if you're sending out regular broadcast emails, for instance, to a segment of your list, you've probably got a tag for that list, right? So let's just say you've got a tag that's for blog post updates. And so there are people who said, I want to get all of the updates from your blog posts. And so you've got a tag for that. So let me go to these contacts actually, and just we'll go ahead and select, we're just going to tag all of these folks right now, or actually, no, we're probably not, because there's going to be people in here that might be real and I don't want to send them stuff right now. There's a lot of not real people. So I'm going to select these guys and let's just pretend that they opted in to get my blog post updates. So they signed up on a landing page somewhere. Now they may have received a campaign that was like, hey, you're signed up for my blog post. I'm so excited. Go over here to read them, right? But that's just one campaign, right? Like that's one message that was sent to them one time. And maybe, you know, it's been a year and they've been getting your blog posts and they don't want to get them anymore for whatever reason. We need to find a way for those people to no longer receive emails from you. Now, if the function that you're following is filtering for blog post updates and then going and scheduling a broadcast to them, they're not going to have an easy way to opt out of you without opting out of you completely, right? So, you know, I send my mail, hey, here's my new blog post, yada, yada, it goes out to all those people. Now, there's a thing that you can do, which I think is pretty cool. It's using our automations. If we go to settings, and this works for campaigns as well. And I actually do this, and actually, let me show you. I'm pretty positive this is something that I've put into the live launch. Hold on real quick. Let me go over and get out of this account and show you guys an actual one that I'm actually using right now. Let me find that. Where's that? Remove. Opt out. Let me see. Got to remember what you name things. Okay, here we go. So here, I'll just show you guys in AttractWell. I'm not finding the thing I thought I was going to find. Okay, so basically I have, for instance, oh, I know why I can't find it. It's in a client's account and like my brain is mashed potatoes right now. So yeah, so I have a client who has a 28-day challenge, okay? Her 28-day challenge is inside of a vault in AttractWell. And that allows her to have her folks, you know, interact like it's a Facebook group, that kind of thing, right? Now, you have the option when you join, just like I showed you guys for that live launch for the email marketing mastery course on the other platform. When they click, they start receiving a series of emails. Now, for this client, when they click just like that to receive that series of emails for 28 days, they can start their 28-day challenge whenever they want to. But in every single one of the emails, I have included a link that says, do you want to pause this challenge? Do you want to stop this challenge? Hey, you know what? It's totally fine. If you want to restart this, you could always do that again. But if you don't want to keep getting these emails, you need to stop the challenge, then here's what you do. Click here. And then when they click, they're going to go to a confirmation page. But what's going to happen is an automation was triggered that removed the campaign. So under automations here, we can say remove from challenge campaign. And then we're going to add an action here. And that's going to be remove campaign. Let me see if I have we'll just pretend like this is it. This is a challenge campaign. And it's going to remove. The action is to remove, and it's this campaign. And because they're going to be clicking a link, we do want to send them to a confirmation page just so that they know they did something right. So we create that automation. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. Or if we look from our list of automations, we can actually just go and hit get keyword right here. And then in your campaigns, you can simply pop in, hey, by the way, and I'll show you how you can do this. Just go to edit one of your campaign messages. Maybe start with, the second day or something like that. And then down at the bottom, you can say, want to pause this and try again another time, right? Click here and you won't get any more of the challenge emails. Don't forget, you can always opt back in, etc. Right? And so what you do when you say click here, we're going to insert a link. And by the way, I use a keyboard shortcut for that, you guys. Command or Control K will open up this box, in case you didn't know. And then I'm pasting in, this is our automation, put that into the URL field. And then of course, you would add this to all of the emails. Now, if you've got loads and loads and loads of emails, like if you have a 28-day challenge campaign and you want this to be in all of the emails, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to settings, go to saved replies, and then you're going to create a saved reply. Here we go with that information. And we're going to name this opt out of challenge campaign. And we're not going to give it a subject line because we're not sending this as an email. Guys, did you know saved replies are modular? You can pop them into any existing message anywhere on your site. So now let me go back to that same campaign. And let's go down here and pop this in. And you could do this on all of them. So hit enter a couple times, go up to saved replies, and then opt out of challenge campaign. And there's that text. Voila, it's there. So this is actually a really cool thing that you can do to, again, reduce your unsubscribes, give people like more tools to actually manage what they're getting from you so that they're more likely to stick around. Because typically I don't want that doesn't mean I don't want you, right? And we do want to make sure that we are retaining our list as much as possible. Karen, is there a way to have the first name added automatically? So all you have to do to add their first name is just go to personalize, this little guy right here, and you can put in any kind of information. Your first name, or sorry, their first name, their full name, their email address, their company name, their title. If you have this information in there, you could put your stuff in here. And then if you're using this campaign for a vault, then of course, that information could be included here as well. It would have to be attached to a vault in order for it to work. But yeah, now you guys know the saved reply shortcut. And since I did bring that up, let's go look and see where these are applied. Campaigns are applied to your vaults. And so if we go, let's just say to this one here, this is like a client education vault. We scroll down beneath the vault's content. We can actually, right here, attach a campaign. And one other really cool thing, and this kind of gets more into conditional response, you can also, let's just say, for instance, this is a campaign, or rather this is a vault that you're selling and you have a sales campaign. You're going to attach that sales campaign right here so that they stop getting sales messages when they purchase. And then you put your onboarding or your, your welcome campaign here. Now there is a default built-in welcome to vault campaign. You could use this and just keep it like this. And it's great. It's going to work just for your needs. It's going to give people what they need to be able to get in. And you don't have to worry about really modifying it, but you could do more with it if you really wanted to, right? But just make sure if you are using a sales campaign and you're adding someone to a vault, that the sales messages will stop if you use this pre-entry campaign. Because, we don't want to keep pitching somebody when they already said yes. That's irritating, right? That's a cause to opt out. We don't want that. So good questions. If you guys have any more, we've got a few more minutes before we wrap up at the top of the hour. So feel free to bring them on if you have questions about other things too. If you want to look at something together, we definitely do have a few minutes to do that with our time here. So let me know and we can definitely take a look. Let me see if there's anything else Yeah, I think that's it. So I think we're definitely due for an automations training sometime soon. It's definitely a huge feature. It seems very small, but what you can do with it is just, it's incredible. The use cases just like it's advanced. Let's just say that it's a little bit advanced. Use what I taught you guys today, though, to really kind of give people more options to opt out of sequences of messages that they may feel are no longer relevant to them, and then use features like that pre-purchase campaign to remove sales messages when somebody actually purchases, or again, you could, let's just say, for instance, that somebody receives the final email in the sequence of your new lead nurture campaign. And you want to trigger then, once that email is sent, you want the next day for them to receive a secondary nurture campaign because maybe that person didn't become a client, right? That's a kind of thing that you can do. It's really cool. If you start to think about the things that you say often, and that you repeat regularly, they first and foremost should go into saved replies so that you've just got a modular way to drop that into whatever message you need to send. But if you start to recognize that there's a pattern where you repeat the same things with different people, that is a huge opportunity for you to utilize campaigns to break that up. And then, of course, at any point that somebody goes to your website and says, I'm going to buy that, and they do, or I'm going to get that free thing, and they do, you always want to make sure you have a campaign attached so that there's a message that goes out to them immediately that says, hey, you got the thing, right? At the very least, you want to have a confirmation campaign anytime somebody opts in, because if they don't get an email from you, they're not going to expect to get more. And once you do finally get around to sending something, depending on how long it's been, they may not know who you are anymore. And we don't want marked as spam or unsubscribes or whatever. So really allow that automation feature to work to your advantage so that you can build a great big list of people that love to hear from you and want to buy from you. So if there aren't any more questions, we're going to get going. Feel free to send us your requests. If there's something in particular you'd like to learn about, then we are happy to hop on like we did today and share at length, strategies, how to do it in the system. And like I showed you today, I'm happy to open up the back end of exactly what I do and show you guys how this works, whether it be in one-on-one coaching, group coaching, course creation, all of that kind of stuff. So if you aren't already, do make sure that you're a member of our Facebook community, and we look forward to seeing you on a future call like this one. You guys have a great weekend.